Those years in quest of honor mine. Chapter 8. Yan Pingshan saw the faint dark circles under Zhongyuan's eyes and wanted to say something but stopped himself. Zhongyuan noticed it. He lifted his gaze and said, "What is it? If you wish to say something, then speak it." Yan Pingshan wasn't the type that could keep things hidden. He lowered his head to stare at the half-filled bowl of medicine in his hand and said in a low voice, "If you had just stayed in Prince Yu's estate back then, you would have had a life full of riches and with no worries. You wouldn't have ruined your own body and ended up in this condition." Zhongyuan laughed. "And here I thought you were going to say something interesting." Zhongyuan tugged at the fox fur coat Xian Kengzin had made for him over and put it on. He nonchalantly said, "I would have been comfortable, but I was born to live a lowly life, to never enjoy life." Yan Pingshan couldn't stand hearing Zhongyuan speak about himself like this. He wanted to refute him, but Zhongyuan didn't want to dwell on this topic. He stood up and said, "I want to ask you something." Yan Pingshan said, "What is it?" Zhongyuan got out of bed and sat in front of the coal brazier. He held a hand above the fire and waved it around, casually saying, "Uncle Yan, how many of the prince's blood relatives still remain?" "I'm talking about Prince Ning." Yan Pingshan didn't really understand what he was asking. The prince's blood relatives? Then, aren't there too many of them? Prince Ning belonged to the imperial family. His blood relatives could be found everywhere in the capital. Disregarding the ones living in the palace but counting all the other dead and living, he was probably related to almost every large noble family. I mean, his immediate family. Zhongyuan lowered his voice. "It isn't easy to come to the capital. Who knows when the next time we'll be here? I was thinking that when I've recovered from my illness, I can avoid everyone else and visit only some of them. Choose those that aren't as economically well off and help them out. It would be inconvenient for Xian Rui and them to do this, but it should be fine for me." Yan Pingshan thought about it and agreed, but after much consideration, he also couldn't come up with anyone. "Which relatives should we visit?" Yan Pingshan sighed. His Highness' maternal family, the Zhong estate, became desolate so many years ago. Back then, we worked so hard and only barely managed to find you, who was already 5 times removed. Where would we find anyone else? Zhongyuan slightly furrowed his brows. 3 or 4 blood-related relatives. If talking about relatives, Yan Pingshan wasn't wrong. Though Zhongyuan's surname was also Zhong, he was already many times removed from the main Zhong estate. He and Prince Ning couldn't actually be considered relatives anymore. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to escape the ordeal back then and survive. Zhongyuan himself definitely wasn't on the list of the 3 or 4 blood-related relatives. He wouldn't be able to get any answers from Yan Pingshan. With no other choice, Zhongyuan could only lie down again after his legs started hurting from sitting. Zhongyuan's health was much worse than it had been in his youth. That year, he had first been detained and interrogated in the Ministry of Justice's prison for 3 months. After being let out, he had to persevere and engage Steward Feng in a battle of wits and courage. But no matter how hard things were or how tired he felt, as long as he got a good night's sleep, all his discomfort would disappear the next day. Now, though, things weren't the same anymore. A slight cold would require him 6 to 7 days to fully recover from. While Zhongyuan was sick, Prince Jian'an's estate closed its doors to visitors. If outsiders asked, they only said that Prince Jian'an, Xian Rui, was sick. Now that he was better, Xian Rui couldn't keep pretending. He had to attend the proper courtesy gatherings. It was a good thing that not a lot of people were in contact with Prince Jian'an's estate. Xian Rui could still handle things. Those situations that weren't easy to maneuver and those that could be avoided were avoided. But this can't be avoided, Zhongyuan said after sending off the young eunuch who had brought them the royal decree. The Empress wants to see the young miss tomorrow. Being this close in enemy territory, Xian Rui tentatively said, "She, What could she possibly want from her? The young miss hasn't been here before, so maybe she just wants to have a look at her. Zhonwan wasn't sure either. But I already asked the young eunuch who brought over the royal decree. It wasn't only the young miss but several other princess consorts and daughters of renowned families will be entering the palace, too. There are also those like young miss, the daughters of aristocrats, who will be there as well. Probably, since it's the end of the year, she wants to see all of them together. Xian Rui was worried. Can we say that she was not feeling well? It's not a good idea to do so. Zhonwan groaned for a moment and continued, the Empress is very thorough. If we declare that she was sick, she will send over imperial physicians to check on the young miss. Once she got better, we will be obligated to let her see her and express our gratitude. Wouldn't she end up meeting her anyways? Zhonwan shook his head. Moreover, at that time, young miss will be meeting her all alone. That's worse than being seen while mixed in with a whole crowd of other people. Don't worry, I'll bring her over myself tomorrow. Xian Rui thought about it and realized that Zhonwan wasn't wrong. He nodded in exasperation. The next day, Zhonwan personally brought Xian Kengzin to the palace. Like last time, Zhonwan got out of the horse-drawn carriage early. He walked over to Xian Kengzin's palanquin to give her a few reminders. Xian Kengzin was much calmer than her two brothers. She agreed to what he said from inside the palanquin, and even told Zhonwan to hurry back to his carriage. She then ordered him to leave if he found it too cold. There was no need for him to keep waiting listlessly. Zhonwan chuckled. He rubbed the purse in his sleeves and made to bribe the servant in charge of leading Xian Kengzin inside. But before he could say anything, the eunuch bowed and politely said, young Master Zhon was also being invited to enter the palace as well. His Majesty wants to see you. Zhonwan narrowed his eyes slightly. Last time after Xian Rui and Xian Yu had entered the palace, Xian Yu had given Zhonwan a play-by-play of everything that had been said and done. Zhonwan had also realized that Emperor Chang'an probably still hadn't completely let down his guard. He probably wanted to see him to warn and test him. Indeed, there were certain things that couldn't be avoided. Zhonwan helped up the eunuch who was bowing to him and stuffed the purse in his hand into the others. He smiled lightly. This is our young miss' first time in the palace. If she does something wrong, I hope you'll help keep an eye out for her. 10 years in the palace passed like only one day. Nothing had changed. Zhonwan was led down the familiar route to see Emperor Chang'an. In the warm room, the Kowloon incense burner quietly spat out furls of fragrant air. Behind the slightly swaying curtain, Emperor Chang'an sat cross-legged on his seat. He was in the middle of reading reports. Zhonwan knelt in greeting. Emperor Chang'an ordered the servant to draw the curtain. For a moment, all was silent. With Xian Rui and Xian Yu, he could still act like nothing had happened and casually show some concern. But with Zhonwan, even Emperor Chang'an couldn't pretend anymore. In all these years, have you been well? Zhonwan knelt on the ground with his gaze lowered. He didn't lift his head. For a moment, he went over Emperor Chang'an's words in his heart again and again. Since Emperor Chang'an wasn't using any flowery language, Zhonwan had to acclimate to him. He took some time to think, then softly said, answering Your Majesty, this one had been fine. At first, we couldn't adjust to the weather in the south, but after enough time, we've come to accept it. But this one didn't expect that coming back to the capital this time would reveal that we're now unaccustomed to the severe cold of the north. We've only been here for a short while, but half of the estate has already fallen sick. Emperor Chang'an paused for a moment. Then, he said, understandable for the others, but you were born and raised here. Why would you be unaccustomed to it, too? Zhonwan replied, this one had grown unaccustomed. Since moving to the south, this one constantly been plagued by illness. This one's immune system is already quite frail and can no longer stand the cold. Another bout of uncomfortable silence. Back then, Emperor Chang'an couldn't quite remember. He asked, "Right now, are you still a slave?" Zhonwan lowered his head. "That is correct, Your Majesty." Thinking of how glorious young Master Zhon had been back in the day, even Emperor Chang'an felt that things had gone down a ridiculous path. He shook his head. "Later, Zhen will give an order. Your self-selling contract." Emperor Chang'an thought about it and inquired, "Is it with Sui Yu?" Zhonwan paused, then nodded. "Most likely, Your Majesty. He's going to enter the palace today, too. When he comes, Zhen will have him bring it to you." Emperor Chang'an sighed. "I'll have someone remove your slave status. In the future when you're in Qianan, things will be more convenient." At this time, he couldn't act like he was surprised by this. That would truly imply that he was mocking Emperor Chang'an. Zhonwan lowered his gaze and calmly said, "Thank you, Your Majesty." Emperor Chang'an made a noise of acknowledgement, then stopped talking again. Since he wasn't speaking, Zhonwan only knelt there quietly. "Imperial Preceptor Shi," Emperor Chang'an suddenly said, "died the second year after you left. Did you hear about it?" After old Imperial Preceptor Shi had passed away, Zhonwan had observed a year of mourning in Qianan. How could he not have heard about it? But he shook his head. Qianan is far away and does not receive the most timely news updates. This one didn't hear about his passing until long after it had happened. This one was quite sad, for several days. Emperor Chang'an turned a judging stare onto Zhonwan, as if trying to figure out whether or not he was telling the truth. Emperor Chang'an then said, "Imperial Preceptor Shi, adored you greatly." Zhonwan took a deep breath in but didn't speak. Emperor Chang'an leaned against the Kong table and reminisced on past events. He slowly stated, "Before he left, Shi Jin told me. Gui Yuan is naturally intelligent and should have gotten first in the imperial exams, becoming famous throughout all the lands. Back then, if he hadn't been dragged down by those events, his name most definitely would have been noted by the historical records of future generations." Zhonwan's expression was calm, as if they weren't discussing things about himself. Emperor Chang'an continued, "Gui Yuan encountered difficulties in his youth. These years, he has suffered too much. In the future, if he does wrong in some way or other, I hope that Your Majesty may be more forgiving with him, since this child's life has been hard." Zhonwan's lips slightly trembled. He refused to let Emperor Chang'an see this, so he lowered his body and rested his forehead against the back of his hands. When he got up again, his expression was normal once more. It were as if he had only been thanking the emperor for his grace. Emperor Chang'an sighed deeply. "I have nothing else to say. You may leave." Emperor Chang'an waved his hand in fatigue. "There are still some of Shi Jin's handwritten documents, calligraphy samples, and paintings left in the library. If you want them, go pick one or two out before you leave." Zhonwan kowtowed, then stood up and followed the servant out. Zhonwan rubbed the spot between his eyebrows. He remembered the times in his youth when Shi Jin had locked him up in his estate to write essays and faintly smiled. The eunuchs took Zhonwan into a side hall of the library and guided him towards a group of bookshelves inside. Most of old Imperial Preceptor Shi's handwritten documents are kept here. Only, us slaves can't read, so if we were to look for them in a rush, we wouldn't be able to tell which ones were by the old Imperial Preceptor's handwriting. We'll have to trouble young Master Zhon to find them yourself." Zhonwan nodded. "All right. It would be difficult to sort through a bunch of ancient texts placed together." After the servant passed on the message, he left. Zhonwan walked along the shelf, picking out books to look over. He intended to take all of Imperial Preceptor Shi's handwritten documents with him. After looking through book after book, he had gone through the first two shelves and only found 2 or 3 books. He rubbed his sore eyes and advanced further into the library. He had just picked up another book when he suddenly noticed an abnormal movement behind him. Before he could turn around, someone had already grabbed him by the waist. As soon as the arm around his waist tugged, Zhonwan's entire form crashed into that person's arms. Zhonwan smelled a familiar scent. His heart started pounding. Yushi. Zhonwan shifted. Yushi instantly added more pressure, trapping him completely. Yushi narrowed his eyes. You want your self-selling contract? Zhonwan froze but didn't explain. Thus, Yushi simply pressed Zhonwan against the bookshelf. He asked, "Are you worried? Don't you want to have any connection to me anymore?" Yushi's breaths brushed against Zhonwan's ear. Zhonwan's ear turned red. He said in a low voice, "Let me go, don't let anyone else see us like this. I'd be happy, but you would never be able to clear your name." Yushi froze. Then he sneered, "This again, do you think this still works on me?" Yushi continued in a soft voice, "Do you want to know how I replied to the emperor?" Zhonwan reflexively asked, "How?" Yushi's voice was tinted with amusement. "I said, no." Zhonwan couldn't handle Yushi being this close to him as they spoke. He vigorously struggled and slammed into the bookshelf. The bookshelf shook, causing a few books to fall onto the ground in a flutter. "Go on and make a scene." Yushi maintained his firm grip on Zhonwan. He faintly smiled as he added, "Do your worst. I'm not afraid of causing a ruckus." End chapter. Those Years in Quest of Honor Mine. Chapter 9. Just who was making such a scene? The fully grown Yushi stood 2 to 3 inches taller than Zhonwan. He was also surprisingly strong. Zhonwan couldn't break free of his grasp at all. He had no choice but to attempt to disgust Yushi. "Of course, I have to make a fuss. I want everyone who entered the palace today to know what you're doing. That would be great for me. Young Prince your honored self has probably forgotten how I survived these past few years." Yushi dropped his gaze. From his eyes, it was hard to tell if he were happy or sad. "Of course, I remember." Zhonwan tried his best to speak softly. "There are so many eunuchs outside. If we truly make a lot of noise, do you think they won't hear us? If other people find out, for the rest of your life, you may never be able to marry a princess consort." Yushi stood there, shocked, but then a smile actually graced his lips. That would be for the best. It rendered Zhonwan nearly speechless. Yushi tightened his grip on Zhonwan's wrist. Voice barely above a whisper, he asked, "If you obtain your self-selling contract, would you truly be able to leave without a problem and never return to the capital?" Zhonwan really wanted to bludgeon to death this old thing, Emperor Chang'an, all in one blow. Not only was he not even of a little help to Zhonwan, he even caused Yushi to be angry. "It wasn't me who wanted this. Even if I did, would you give it to me?" Yushi thought for a moment, loosening his grip just a bit. "So, you actually have some brains," he softly said. Zhonwan couldn't imagine how Yushi declined Emperor Chang'an's offer. He powerlessly said, "You told him directly that you didn't agree." Yushi grunted in acknowledgement. Zhonwan broke into a smile. "You think I'm acting too unreasonably, right?" Yushi slightly turned his head towards him. He caught sight of Zhonwan with his half-lidded eyes. "I can actually be even more unreasonable. Zhonwan, you're worried I can't get married, aren't you?" Yushi leaned toward him a little bit more, his voice near whisper as he said into his ear, "Speaking of which, you can help me with my marriage matters. Do you want to help me?" Zhonwan's fingers trembled just a hint. In his heart, he chanted the clear heart mantra 2 times, before closing his eyes. He tried his best not to pay attention to the Yushi behind him and told himself not to think of any nonsense. In a low voice, Yushi asked again, "Will you help me?" Zhonwan sucked in a deep breath and gritted his teeth. "Just what are you trying to say?" Give me Xiankengzin's hand in marriage, said Yushi in a casual manner. She would most likely listen to you, right? You dare. The pleasant feelings in his heart vanished in an instant. Fury lacing his words as he exclaimed, Yushi, you. Once again, Zhonwan struggled to get away, but Yushi's grip was like a vice. A smile blossomed on his lips. Why are you angry? Although she can still technically be considered part of the imperial clan, the estate of Prince Jiang'an has already declined. This marriage can be considered beneficial for her. Yes, Zhonwan was so furious, his face paled. Kengzin is still young. Her natural endowments have yet to be determined, and she did not have a mother teaching her in her youth. In the future, I'm afraid she cannot support the gate of Prince Yu's estate. May your highness have mercy on her. Yushi narrowed his eyes. She grew up by your side. Could it be that you want to marry her, yourself? How old is she? Fumed Zhonwan. What kind of person do you think I am? Do you truly have no intention of marrying her yourself? Zhonwan was already drained of energy at this point. He leaned against the bookcase, panting as he said, Your Highness. What status do I currently hold? What status does she have? Me marrying her? Do you really think that's possible? Yushi did not reply. If the incident from the past had not occurred, with how much Prince Ning doted on Zhonwan, the former truly would have given him his daughter's hand in marriage. Zhonwan noticed Yushi's silence. He gritted his teeth and continued, I truly never have such thoughts. I just want to raise this pair of dragon and phoenix so that Xianyu could set himself up and for Kengzin to have a good marriage. She is young and a descendant of royal blood. Why should she end up with someone like me? Yushi fell silent for a while. Then he nodded. I understand. A wave of relief washed over Zhonwan's form. After calming down for a little while, he regretted losing proprietary. Yushi, this utter madman. How could he ever think of marrying Kengzin? Let's not talk about how incompatible their statuses were if this marriage were to occur. When he asked to wed Princess Hui Yang, Emperor Chang'an got angry enough to put Yushi under house arrest. Kengzin was also surnamed Xian. It was evident that Yushi had been teasing him. In a soft voice, Zhonwan asked, Are you using this as an excuse to make a point? Yushi's inner thoughts had been uncovered. Yet he only smiled. As long as you're clear on what I'm trying to say, then my point has been made. I've never thought of asking you for my self-selling contract, thought Zhonwan. Yushi turned his head to him. Just now, were you so stressed to the point of wanting to cry? Cry about what? Zhonwan stilled. The last time I cried was because my parents died. I don't cry easily. Yushi fell into his thoughts, recalling the past. He in fact had never caught Zhonwan crying before. Knowing that Xiankengzin was safe, Zhonwan relaxed some more. He no longer bickered with Yushi. He had just recovered from a long bout of illness, and did not have much energy. He didn't think over his words anymore as he said, My wrists really hurt. Yushi was stunned. Zhonwan attempted to lightly pull his arm away and unconsciously said, Are there red marks already? Yushi looked down. He pulled up Zhonwan's sleeve just a bit. Indeed, a few finger marks marred his wrist. After a moment of silence, Yushi commented, You said it wrongly. What? Said Zhonwan, drawing his brows together. You said it wrongly. Zhonwan suspected that he had caught another fever, burning his brain to mush. Just what did he say incorrectly? Yushi released his hold on Zhonwan. What you should have said in the first place was, Yushizi, my wrist really hurts. Help me massage it? Zhonwan was dumbstruck. Have I gone mad? After that, I would not pay attention to your words and continued to hold you tightly. Then you would say, Yushizi, it truly does hurt. Please lighten your grasp. Zhongyuan still could not find any words to say. He finally let Zhongyuan go, and Zhongyuan felt even more frightened now. Listless and anxious, he stared at Yushi. Was he the one who had gone mad, or was it Yushi? Yushi sat down, his face devoid of expression. Then I would say, stop pretending to be coquettish. I'm not using much force. Zhongyuan's silence stretched even further. Then you'll reply, you don't know your own strength. Hurry and check it for me. Blow on it for me. The hairs on Zhongyuan's arm all stood erect. Yushi. Had he been possessed by dirty things? Yushi glanced at him and took out a book from his sleeve. He threw it toward Zhongyuan's chest. Confused, Zhongyuan flipped open the book. Pretty Brother Zhong's tryst with Yushizi in the study. Zhongyuan really couldn't speak now. So, he hadn't gone mad. Yushi was merely reading aloud the lines of a book. But he still found this matter quite shocking. There's actually such a book circulating in the capital? Was the culture in the north this casual? The emperor, Princess Angguo, Prince Yu. Any one of them. Why didn't they rectify this matter? Why did Yushi read such book? And why was he even able to repeat it word for word? Zhongyuan struggled to say, young Prince Yu. You bring this cut-sleeve book into the palace every day. Don't you find something wrong about that? Or perhaps, did you brought it specifically for me to read, he said probingly. It wasn't prepared for you. Yushi's expression was natural. I brought it for myself to read. And Zhongyuan was back to being speechless. Noticing Zhongyuan's complexion, Yushi smiled. When it comes to books regarding our relationship, I've read all the ones that are at least slightly famous. Zhongyuan really wanted to bury and hide himself in a hole. Once again, he fought hard to say, you. What are you actually after? Just looking for something that makes me happy. Yushi smiled. I really had a hard time these past few years. The only thing of joy was reading books about you and me. I found them very fascinating. What made your life unsatisfactory? Asked Zhongyuan in a sensitive manner. A moment of silence. Following that, Yushi broke into another smile. The things that made my life unsatisfactory had nothing to do with you. This is the truth. Zhongyuan did not want to press him any further. Before he could say anything else, Yushi said, the prose of this book is decent. Beautiful but not tacky. I'm quite fond of it. Once he had laid eyes on the book's title, Zhongyuan was so ashamed that he wanted to die. He truly did not want to read what was inside. Yushi noticed his intention. He deliberately said, I'll give it to you. What do you think about that? Embarrassed, Zhongyuan replied, since this is young Prince Yu's most cherished item, I don't dare to accept it. Yushi narrowed his eyes dangerously. In an instant, Zhongyuan knew he had misspoken. He changed the tune of his words forcibly. But I also really want to read it. May young Prince Yu part with such a cherished possession. Yushi nodded. Yes, I'll give it to you. His tone proved gracious. A sigh of relief left his lips. Zhongyuan slipped the book into his pocket, preparing to burn it once he stepped foot outside the imperial palace. You're going to throw it away once you exit the palace gates, right? One glance and Yushi saw right through him. Cold enough to freeze, he said, are you just playing along in order to pacify me? With a guilty conscience Zhongyuan lowered his head. I don't dare. What your highness has given me. I definitely will read it every day. There's no need to read it every day. Yushi poured a cup of tea for himself. Took a sip and continued, just read it once here, from start to finish. Zhongyuan stilled. Then he asked, are you serious? Yushi nodded. After you finish reading it, I might let you go. His threat was very obvious. You know, I can keep you imprisoned in the palace. Zhongyuan almost collapsed on the floor. He pulled out the book and flipped a few pages. Even his heart felt chilled. This book was purely about romantic affairs. Little by little, the corners of Yushi's lips tilted upward. Zhonwan wanted to say something but stopped himself before he could. "Young prince. It's fine if you don't want to read it," Yushi took his time saying. "I'll just order Lin Si to be killed today." Zhonwan took a deep breath. 7 years. Lin Si had stayed in the capital for 7 years and lived a good life, eating to his full and having a good night's rest every day. But ever since Zhonwan had arrived at the capital, the pitiful mute was thrust into dangerous situations on the daily. He clenched his teeth as he said, "I'll read it." Yushi nodded. "Don't speak too softly as you read. Put some emotion in it. Now start." The evil one brought on oneself was the hardest to bear. Zhonwan sat down. He flipped to the first page and his eyes started to darken. He cleared his throat. "Today, let's talk about X dynasty in X era. There was a gentleman with the surname of Zhong. An extremely passionate fellow. Muddling along without any aim, Zhonwan started to wonder if he was just overthinking what happened to Yushi in these past years. What secret information? What bastard children? Even a good person's temperament would greatly change after many years of reading such dribbles. End chapter. Those years in quest of honor mine. Chapter 10. Yushi calmly sat off to the side, countenance serene as he listened to Zhonwan read the cut-sleeves novel. This kind of spring book of the common folks all seemed somewhat rudimentary to the two of them. No matter how well they were written, there were always areas that didn't make sense or did not progress smoothly. Originally, Zhonwan could have changed them on the spot as he read, but who knew that young prince you have a photographic memory. He had long since memorized all the words and sentences in the book, so that each time he heard Zhonwan's correction, the corners of his lips would slightly curl upwards. In comparison, Zhonwan felt like he was sitting on needles. It was all right at the beginning, but near the end, Zhonwan relied on the fact that he was naturally gifted in literature and skipped several sentences. Then, he flushed out the discrepancies in an attempt to fool Yushi. What a pity that he couldn't. Yushi sipped at his tea and interrupted, "You left out a phrase. Go back and read it again." Zhonwan. Only to see that the undergarment was as thin as the frost on a late autumn leaf, simply a translucent layer. Official Zhon finally couldn't take it anymore. Zhonwan closed his eyes and calmed himself down. He opened his eyes to continue, "Official Zhon he. Yushi gazed at Zhonwan with great composure. There was a hint of jest in his eyes. Zhonwan finally couldn't keep at it in any longer. He threw the book onto the table and said, "He doesn't want to read this anymore." Yushi couldn't hold himself back anymore. He burst into muffled laughter. Zhonwan's ears were slightly red. He turned his head to look outside the window and ground his teeth together. In the past, you clearly didn't understand anything. Eventually, I understood everything. Yushi finally stopped laughing after a long time. But what a pity that by that time you had already left. Zhonwan didn't understand. What? Why was it a pity? Nothing. Yushi picked up the book and smoothed out the bent marks that had appeared on the cover because Zhonwan had thrown it. Was it good? Zhonwan clenched his teeth together as he said, "Very good." Yushi smiled. "Then I'll give you some more later." Zhonwan's voice trembled, "You have many more?" Yushi nodded. "Naturally. In the study of Prince Yu's estate, there are a dozen or so shelves containing books regarding you and me. There are several much better than this one." Zhonwan. Something flashed in Yushi's eyes. "There are also several, much more explicit than this one." Prince Yu, Zhonwan looked at Yushi in disbelief. Does he know that the study in his own estate is filled with storybooks about his son and another random man? Yushi nodded, his expression pleased. Naturally. Zhonwan responded with great difficulty, and he didn't beat you to death. Yushi shook his head. He has never raised a hand to me. Zhonwan refused to give up. What about the princess? The emperor? Yushi smiled. No one can control me. Zhonwan murmured, I see. The smile on Yushi's face gradually disappeared. They just nag me a little with just a few words and nothing else. They are satisfied with the situation and doesn't care much about me. Since everyone knew about it, they didn't give me too much of a hard time about it. Besides, it's better not to do anything about it, as if they do, it may cause more trouble. Zhonwan thought to himself, for example, asking Emperor Chang'an to remove your position as heir. Or requesting to bring troops to Beijiang, making the relationship between Prince Yu's estate and Emperor Chang'an both complicated and tense. Zhonwan stared at Yushi with complicated expression. He really wanted to know what had actually happened in these past few years. Can't you? Zhonwan couldn't help but ask, behave yourself. Yushi lifted his gaze to look at Zhonwan. He smiled and said emphatically, no. Before Zhonwan could ask anything else, he continued, I said it before. I just want everyone to be miserable. I'm giving you this book. Yushi suddenly ordered for him to leave. You can go. But Zhonwan wasn't in a rush anymore. He slowly organized old Imperial Preceptor Shi's handwritten documents and wrapped them up carefully, then, he picked them up. After a moment of hesitation, he said, Imperial Preceptor Shi. Yushi looked at Zhonwan. Zhonwan said, the old Imperial Preceptor once spoke to me about you. Yushi cocked an eyebrow. That old man didn't actually like me. He never encouraged me in any way. What did he say about me? Zhonwan lowered his gaze. Sui Yu is not the same as Prince Yu. He is good and kind by nature. Yushi seemed quite unimpressed. When did he say that? It had been when Zhonwan had stayed at the Shi estate for a brief period of time before the spring exams. He had unintentionally started talking about Yushi with Shijin, and Shijin had brought this up. Zhonwan hid the truth. He was extremely nervous as he took a chance and said, during the first year after I had left for Tianan. The Imperial Preceptor mentioned it in a letter. Yushi was unbothered. He stated carelessly, is that so? If he were still alive now, he probably wouldn't think that way about me anymore. Zhonwan could now confirm that it was in the first year after he had left the capital that something had happened to Yushi. When they left the library, Xiankangxin had just been let out by the servant. The two of them returned to Prince Jian'an's estate together. In the study, Zhonwan squeezed the spring book, brows tightly furrowed. The first year that he had left, everything had clearly been normal in the capital. What situation could Yushi have encountered that could have changed his personality so much? Or, did he learn about something? Could it be that the rumors regarding his identity being suspicious were true and he coincidentally managed to learn the truth at this time? But this didn't make sense either. Even if he really was the bastard son of Emperor Chang'an, why would this force him into the state? The Yushi now didn't want anyone to have it easy when he went into a rampage, and this included Prince Yu. Prince Yu treated him like his biological son. Raising someone else's son for them was unfortunate enough. Why did he also have to withstand Yushi's vengeance? Zhonwan remembered very clearly. The Yushi of 7 years ago very clearly respected his own father. He had also been very filial to Princess Angguo. Zhonwan flipped through the book. He felt like his heart was in knots. A perfectly fine Sui Yu. What had really happened to him? Back then I had tested his limits so much but failed to make him lose control, Zhonwan muttered to himself. A person like that, what kind of situation could have caused him to completely break down back then, to not even want to live anymore, to even eat Han Shi-san? At the same time, in the side courtyard of Prince Yu's estate, Yushi leaned against the chaise lounge by the window and softly whistled, teasing the bird hanging in a cage along the hallway. Yushizi, Steward Feng carried a foxskin blanket in and helped Yushi place it over his legs. It's cold outside. Maybe you should close the windows in a bit. No rush, Yushi ordered. Bring 2 books over for me from the shelf. It doesn't matter which ones. Steward Feng's teeth hurt just thinking about those books on the shelf, but he still obediently went over to retrieve them. Shortly after he brought them back, Yushi lifted a hand to grab them and said, I met Zhonwan again in the palace. Steward Feng's expression changed. To him, the 2 words Zhonwan were the equivalent of evil and insanity. Yushi lifted his head and glanced at him. He smiled. Don't worry, he's much better behaved than before. Yushi gently caressed the cover of the book in his hand. He is quite principled and recognizes the importance of the greater good. I harassed him for a long time. Not only did he not insult me, he actually bore with it. Steward Feng pretended to be deaf and disregarded the word harassed. He carefully said, Isn't that good? You're all grown up now, so obviously he can't behave in the same manner as in your youth. Steward Feng tried to read Yushi's mind. He added, but, speaking of this, his flaunting and arrogant personality when he was young was much more likable. If he really no longer has a temper, then, he wouldn't be interesting anymore. Not really. Yushi didn't think this way at all. He's just as interesting. Steward Feng murmured to himself, Young Master Zhong, I've already tried to help you. Yushi whistled, causing the bird outside the window to imitate him. After a bit more teasing, he said, around the time that Zhonwan had arrived at our estate for half a year, I made a bet with him and lost. You know, back then, I didn't know anything, didn't understand anything. Whenever we interacted, I would be incessantly tricked by him. I lost, so allowed him to go outside to get some fresh air. Yushi stared at the deep snow outside the window. He drawled out, we went to the jewelry shop in the western side of the city and coincidentally ran into old Imperial Preceptor Shi's youngest son. The one that's even more by the books than his father, young Master Shi, Shi Hong. Shi Hong looked at Zhonwan. His nose didn't seem like a nose, his eyes didn't seem like eyes. He harshly reprimanded him. You clearly already had honor to your name after the exams and could speak to the emperor. Yet, you failed to provide the evidence to reverse the verdict on Prince Ning's case. This is considered an incompetence. As Prince Ning's adopted son, you received the grace of being brought up by him, but you are not even wearing mourning attire after his death. There isn't even a hint of sadness on your face. This is considered disloyalty and a lack of filial piety. Now, Prince Ning's orphans are in a constant state of anxiety. But as their adopted brother, you aren't helping them at all. This is considered forgetting others' good deeds and being ungrateful. To live ignobly, you are submitting to your enemy's son. This is considered being shameless. Hong Shi's loud and seemingly righteous accusations still seemed to ring in his ear. A person like you, still has the face to live in this world. Steward Feng hadn't known about these events. He was so angry he started shaking. How dare he speak like that? Back then young Master Zhong had only been barely out of childhood, so what could he have done? Ram his head into a hard surface to kill himself in prison or carry a knife and try to storm the Meridian Gate? Living ignobly? If he didn't live ignobly, how would Prince Ning's children survive until today? That Hong Shi. At that time, I too was so angry that my whole body shook. Yushi glanced outside the window. But Zhonwan didn't refute him at all. Instead, he reminded Hong Shi that Imperial Preceptor Shi was old now. Older people had weaker bones and weren't as stable on their feet. He should be more careful in these snow-filled days. Steward Feng stared at Yushi in disbelief. Only later did I learn that he had left that day to find out information on Prince Ning's children. Yushi gazed outside the window. You see. He's just like this. A person like this was one who was too ashamed to openly display his emotions to the world. Pretending to be obedient, pretending to not care, that's only his old habit kicking in again. Or perhaps he's already gotten so used to faking things that he can't return to normal anymore. Yushi opened the book and muttered to himself, how did he change? He clearly didn't. You see, even though I let him go eventually, didn't he still leave me something to amuse myself with? Steward Feng looked at those things between me and the air book in Yushi's hand. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He couldn't help but be reminded of that incident from 6 years ago. 6 years ago, also in this side courtyard, a young Yushi had locked himself in his room after learning the truth about the past. He had gone 3 days without eating or drinking. His hair was unkempt, his eyes bloodshot. He wanted to die. At that time, Steward Feng had truly thought that his young master would leave himself for dead in his room. But coincidentally, the servant that young Yushi had sent to Qianan to find information on Zhonwan 2 months ago had returned. Steward Feng knocked on the door of Yushi's bedroom for a whole hour before a Yushi who barely looked alive finally undid the lock and opened the door a sliver. Young Yushi's face was as pale as paper. Blood specks dotted his lips. His voice was hoarse as he asked, "How is he?" Steward Feng hurriedly yanked the disheveled servant over. The servant didn't know anything. Upon seeing Yushi's ghost-like appearance, he became so frightened that he couldn't even say a word. Young Yushi scoffed. He wasn't interested in hearing the report anymore and turned around, preparing to close the door. Steward Feng smacked the servant's head harshly in agitation. "Hurry and say what you need to." The servant shook like a leaf. He stumbled out, "I didn't manage to see young Master Zhong, but I heard a rumor regarding young Master Zhong. I heard people say that in Qianan, young Master Zhong will tell anyone he sees that. Steward Feng hated how useless he was. He kicked the servant. "What did young Master Zhong say?" The servant fell on the ground after being kicked. He decided to speak without regard. He kowtowed and cried loudly, "Young Master Zhong said, a heartless Yusui, you abandoned me after starting a relationship. He couldn't have me completely, so he threw me out." Young Yushi's eyes widened so much he almost tore the skin surrounding them. A few deep breaths later, he spat out the blood that had been stuck in his throat for several days. Steward Feng heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly helped pat his back. He placated, "Yushizi, we can't have anything happening to you. If something happens to you, your relationship with young Master Zhong will never be cleared. He might even wear mourning apparel for you. And sing the young widow visits the grave for himself. Use the title of not yet deceased to stick to you for life." Young Yushi panted for a long time. His voice shook as he said, He really." The servant kowtowed. "It's true. Pay." Steward Feng belatedly slapped himself across the face. "What was I saying? Yushizi, you'll definitely be fine. Even if solely for the purpose of cleaning this crap up, you have to stay alive and well." He. Young Yushi uttered he for a long time but didn't say anything meaningful. Suddenly, he started laughing loudly while still gasping for air. He seemed to have gone mad. That day, young Yushi started eating food and taking his medicine. Half a month later, he completely recovered. But his personality slowly, gradually, started changing. End chapter.